Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 3. Or should I say Liverpool reserves 0, Crystal Palace 3. Now, I'm not going to rant, but please don't mistake my calmness for not caring enough, because I'm absolutely livid. And for the first time, I think ever, I mean it, ever, I was livid 1 hour before the game when the team was announced and the squad was announced. I actually couldn't believe it. I was completely confused. I had to keep looking at the starting 11, trying to rationalise it, trying to see if I was missing something. And then I looked at the bench and my confusion turned into disbelief. Gordon, Cohn, Doherty, Pinnington, Figueroa, Pilling, Pexy, Lucky and Laffy. All we were missing was Snow White. So not only was the starting 11 never going to win that game, but once they were underwater, which was inevitable, almost every change from the bench was going to further weaken the challenge, not strengthen it. Now, I have to say, I'm not angry at all with the players today. They put in a shift, they worked their asses off, they tried, they give their all, they give their best. And I must call out as well the Anfield crowds, who were superb, urging them on at 1-0 down, at 2-0 down, and at 3-0 down. Still urging them on, saying you'll never walk alone at 3-0 down, because that's what we do. But these players today were thrown to the wolves by the manager. I'll actually read you my post that I put in I have a Facebook group as well, YNWA Reds. And this is the post I wrote when the team was announced. I am desperate for a win today, but that lineup, along with the bench options, is shocking to me. I don't get it, I don't condone it, I see no rhyme or reason for it, and I'm not happy about it. I sincerely hope I have it wrong and these lads can go on to win the game. Because that starting 11 was not even close to what I expected, what I wanted. And by the way, based on the feedback I got from the pre-game video, it's not what the majority of you wanted either. What I wanted and what I think you wanted was a team of the solid performing first teamers mixed with those fringe players who'd earned the right for the starting spot. Robbo, Gomez, Endo and Chiesa. But they should have been added to the likes of Szoboszlai and Ekitike and Bradley, and with Robbo as left back, not central defence. So yeah, we got those four, but instead of blending them with our elite players, he blended them with a bunch of inexperience and a bunch of kids. And as I just mentioned, another player played out of position. Robertson shifted into central defence. He's not a centre back. Why are you playing players out of position? Oh, by the way, it also meant that he played both of our current left backs, the only two we've got, specialist left backs, played them both in the same game. So if one of them had got injured, we're down to one left back, as we are currently down to one specialist right back, and we've only got 3 central defenders. So why pick both of them for this game? The 11 he picked had players in, and I'm not picking on them, just giving examples, but Kieran Morrison, who never played a minute for the first team before. Calvin Ramsey, age 22, he's played twice, both of them were 3 years ago. He played 3 minutes against Napoli at the end of a game, and then he started in a League Cup game against Derby County 3 years ago. In the last 2 seasons, this lad has been loaned out to Preston for 2 games, Bolton for 3 games, Wigan for 8 games and Kilmarnock for 8 games. So fair to say his loans have not been particularly successful. So why are you throwing him in there with a whole bunch of other kids in a mishmash of a team? What chance has he got? What chance has he got against a Premier League team, basically fielding their first team, who have been one of the top teams in the division over the last 6 months? And going back to the bench, this might be, and let me know if I'm wrong, and if you know different, but in my recollection, this might be the weakest Liverpool bench I have ever seen. And by weak, again, I'm not criticising any young lads. I mean just virtually no experience across 9 of them. 9 of them, and no experience. This was a continuation of Arne Slot's decisions recently on his starting lineups and his squads and his substitutions and playing players out of position, which have become more and more bizarre, and this just added. And to put this 11 on the pitch with those 9 on the bench was even more bizarre to me than some of the previous decisions he's made. I don't even like saying this, but I have to say it smacked of a manager who was happy to lose that game. This was a game we needed to win, to stop the rot, to not have the albatross of a 6 defeat in 7 games around our neck. Now we have that albatross. And the manager's selection today was either delusional, or it was a lack of respect for the trophy, or a lack of respect for the fans who were going to that ground today. It couldn't have been a lack of respect for the opposition, because he hasn't beaten them for 3 games before today, and now he hasn't beaten them for 4 games. Everybody who went to Anfield today should have their money refunded by the club, and I'm serious about that. There should be an apology, and there should be money given back to everybody who went to that game. Now, had he picked the team that I think we all wanted today, we would have learned a lot. We really would have learned a lot. But what did we learn today? We learned nothing at all. We didn't learn that experienced kids are not going to beat a Premier League team, because we knew that before the ball was kicked. What did we learn about all the underperforming first teamers who were all given the night off? Absolutely nothing. They needed to step up tonight, and instead they had the slippers on. So it solved none of our recent problems at all. In fact, it probably did more harm than it did any good. It can only have dented the confidence of the youngsters, not improved it. It can only have dented the confidence of the poor lad who was sent off again for the 2nd time in his Liverpool career after coming on as a substitute. And what about Robbo and Gomez and Endo and Chiesa? By throwing them in with the kids, Arne Slot sent them a message that said, you 4 are fringe players. That is where you're at, and that's where you're going to stay, and that's where you are in the pecking order. He didn't put any real leaders on the pitch. You can't just have the likes of Robbo playing as a centre-back, helping out the team in the midfield and the attack. There were hardly any senior players to give advice to the youngsters, to motivate them on the pitch, to steer the ship, to help them out. None of it. And this is all on the manager. These kids were basically hung out to dry. Crystal Palace were given a bye to the quarterfinals of a cup that we have won 10 times, a cup that is up there on our champions wall. I heard some people during this game say, that's only the Carabao Cup, it doesn't matter. It matters, and it mattered more than it ever did today because of what's been going on the last few weeks. This was a game we needed to get a win. This was a game where we need to get our mojo back. This was a game where the crowd could have roared them on to success, and we could have gone to the next game with a huge amount of confidence. Even the team he did pick, we had no striker. He didn't even put anyone up front who was an out-and-out striker. There were times when we broke into their half, especially early in the first 20 minutes. There was no one to be seen. And sure enough, for the entire game, we had 1 shot on target. A team scores 3 against us, could have scored 4 or 5 if they tried, and we have 1 shot on target because of the team the manager picked. It's another game where we gave up 3 goals, like we did at the weekend, and we've been giving up 2 goals a game now for weeks and weeks and weeks in a row. Oh, and by the way, what about the other big hitters from the Premier League? Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle all went through today against Premier League teams. Man City also went through. They're all in the quarter-final. Arsenal, in their game, yet they made a bunch of changes, but in this game, at some point, they played Rice, Saka, Merino, Trossard, Eze, Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri and several others. Compare that approach against Brighton to what Arne Slot did today. So all of the big boys went through today, except one, us, because our manager was the only one that had no intention of trying to win that game today. And I find that absolutely shocking. It doesn't compute with me at all that he did that today. And then I just watched this post-match interview. He was asked, does the Aston Villa game now become a must-win? And you know what he responded with? Every game for Liverpool is a must-win. Now, when you pick that 11, you've just proven to us that you don't believe that to be true. So don't insult our intelligence because it doesn't wash. We are smarter than that. And that's not what we need from a Liverpool manager. He also said, because in 2 days we have another game and then 2 days rest and we have another game. Well, sorry, but Saturday is 3 days from now and then Real Madrid is 3 days after that. So this is classic deflection from a manager who is buckling under the pressure. Because why are you even saying that we've got a game 2 days from now and 2 days from now when it's Wednesday to Saturday to Tuesday? And I don't really know what else to add to this, because a month ago I was convinced that Slot had got it right last season and was bedding the players in quite well because we were winning games, if only just. But what I'm seeing these last few weeks, the bizarre nature of not only his selections but his substitutions, his playing players out of position, his changes in formations, and that today, and even more so, the really odd, bizarre statements that he's coming out with at the end of games has got me really worried. Now, he's under even more pressure than he was before. Now he's under more scrutiny. Now there are more questions than ever before. And he added to those questions today. And if I'm thinking like this, I know for a fact that an awful lot of you will be thinking like this as well. So anyway, it's on to Aston Villa. It's another home game. The big guns will be back. The crowd, of course, will support. We, of course, will support. But Arne Slot, mate, you have got to start getting it right, and you have got to stop doing what you're doing with these team selections and these bizarre exchanges with the interviewers after the games. And you've got to start putting it right, because you are now significantly under pressure. Not because you've lost a few games, but because of the decisions that you've been making over the course of losing these games. So I'll do a pre-game against Villa. I'll have settled down a bit by then. I'll be a bit more rational. I hope you forgive me for getting a bit emotional about that, but I couldn't help myself. I did try and give myself a bit of time to settle down, but it didn't really work, did it? Anyway, I'll see you soon. All the best. You'll never walk alone. We love this team. It's going to be okay in the end. Cheers. Ta-ra.